In all honesty, normally I ignore comments like this because there are always going to be people who obviously do not agree with the Word of God and do not believe in Christianity. And so they always want to say something in terms of trying to lead people astray. So normally I just ignore these comments. But I happen to notice that you only started at verse 17. And one thing I'm not going to do is let people lead people astray without context, especially when it comes to the idea of the Old Testament and how quote unquote violent God was in the Old Testament. So, me being curious, I went and did my research and was like, okay, so what's going on in Numbers 31? Well, we see that they're going to war with Midian. Okay, cool. Now, there's something very specific about this. The Lord spoke to Moses, execute vengeance for the Israelites against the Midianites. After that, you'll be gathered to your people. The first thing that stands up to me is, okay, why is the Lord telling them to execute vengeance? What is going on? And that's the nice thing about actually having study Bibles, because study Bibles go deeper. So I hit my little study Bible notes, and it said, God's vengeance against the Midianites would be fierce because of their part in seducing Israel into the degrading worship of Baal, or Baal, however you want to pronounce it. But you know, Baal, the deity who is famously known for child sacrifice. Last I checked, I thought we were all about protecting kids, and if there was a deity in a country that chose to tell us to go ahead and sacrifice our kids, don't you think the God of justice and the God of vengeance would, make sure his people rectified that? And again, context. You have to go to the beginning of this conversation. Moses, the priest Eleazar, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. And Moses became furious with the officers, the commanders of thousands, the commanders of the hundreds, who were returning from the military campaign. Have you let every female live? He asked them. Yet they are the ones who, at Balaam's advice, incited the Israelites to unfaithfulness against the Lord in the Peor incident, so that the plague came against the Lord's community. So what we see here is the Midianites led them to betray God by then serving Baal, which then most likely led to child sacrifice. God dealt with them. He went ahead and set a plague through the community for those who thought it was okay to sacrifice their children. And those who stayed faithful to the Lord, he then told them to go wipe out the evil people who wanted them to sacrifice kids. So remember, everybody, context is important, especially when you're reading the Bible, and especially when you're dealing with those tough subjects. But the Word of God is still good news, and that's all that matters. I love y'all. Shalom.